What if your relationships aren't random? What if every partner, every friendship, every collaboration you've ever had was a mirror your soul chose on purpose? In astrology, the seventh house isn't just about marriage and romantic partnerships. It's the place where your soul gets reflected, where your healing gets triggered, and where your most magnetic and most painful connections happen. The zodiac sign sitting on your seventh house cusp tells a cosmic story about the type of people you attract over and over again, the emotional patterns you unconsciously play out in love, and most importantly, the soul assignment you came here to master through relationships. This isn't just about who you date, it's about who you become through every relationship that cracks you open. So grab your birth chart, find the sign or signs where your seventh house sits, and let's get into it.
Aries in the seventh house reveals a sacred tension your soul came here to master. How to be fully yourself while standing in partnership with another. Your soul chose this placement not to merge, lose, or dissolve into the other, but to ignite, initiate, and awaken through the connection. At the heart of this placement is the realization that you are meant to confront your reflection in love, not to become it. Your relationships will challenge you to reclaim autonomy, confront your fears of abandonment or rejection, and break the unconscious habit of handing over your power in the name of peace. Love for you is not passive. It's a forge. It is a battlefield for truth, where the deepest wounds of self-worth and assertiveness surface to be healed. You are learning that being loved doesn't mean being chosen. It means choosing yourself over and over, especially in the presence of someone else. Your journey is to recognize that conflict is not the enemy of love. Suppression is. You are here to initiate truth, to model honesty, even when it shakes things up, and to stop waiting for permission to exist as your fullest self inside connection. Partnerships serve as an arena for awakening your inner warrior, but not through aggression or dominance, through courage, through truth-telling, through the sacred act of no longer betraying yourself just to belong. Your soul's evolutionary invitation is this: can you be deeply connected and fiercely sovereign at the same time? This is the edge Aries in the seventh walks. And through every relationship that demands more of you than you're used to giving yourself, you're being asked to stop playing small and start leading with who you really are. Aries in the seventh can set up a lifetime of relational tension between self and other. Some of the common blocks of this placement is codependence masquerading as compromise. You may avoid conflict or tone yourself down to keep love, creating an inner split between who you are and who you become in relationship. Another challenge is attracting dominant, controlling, or selfish partners. You're magnetized toward bold or aggressive people, those who embody the very Aries traits you're learning to activate in yourself. But over time, this can create imbalance and resentment if you always shrink to accommodate them. Another challenge is fear of being too much or starting fights. You may suppress your anger, needs, or opinions, fearing they'll ruin the relationship. But bottling it up only leads to emotional explosions or silent withdrawal. Another is unconscious pattern of chasing or being chased. You may find yourself in push-pull dynamics where someone is always pursuing and someone is always retreating. The lesson here is that you're still learning how to show up as equal energy. Internalized belief that love equals sacrifice is another challenge with this placement. There can be a subconscious idea that being a good partner means constantly softening yourself, avoiding needs, or overgiving. This reinforces a pattern of relational burnout and self-abandonment. Aries in the 7th house impacts the actual people and dynamics you attract. One of them being you draw in bold, blunt, or fiery people. You may consistently attract lovers who are assertive, competitive, high energy, or even a little selfish. These partners push you, sometimes too hard, but they're mirroring a part of you that's trying to wake up. You may also see that you become passive or over-adaptive in love. Despite your inner strength, you might find yourself always accommodating your partner's wants, decisions, and pace. This imbalance can leave you feeling invisible or unheard. You may also experience explosive breakups or sudden endings. Aries energy can bring intense relationship cycles, quick beginnings, passionate highs, but also quick fizzling or blow-ups if truth isn't addressed. There's often a theme of burning bridges when boundaries aren't expressed early. You may also find that you struggle to initiate what you want. You may hesitate to voice your desires in love, whether that's needing more space, deeper commitment, or something as simple as choosing the restaurant. You've learned to defer. You may also fear conflict, but attract it anyway. Even when you try to avoid tension, relationships seem to erupt. This is your soul pulling you into confrontation, not for destruction, but for evolution. You're being asked to own your voice. To alchemize this placement, your soul is learning to reclaim your fire, not just in isolation, but in intimacy. The first step to this is to initiate with confidence. Stop waiting for your partner to define things. Be the one to speak up first. State your needs and own your desires without apology. Aries energy heals through boldness, not permission. Next is to build a relationship with your anger. Anger is sacred. It reveals where your boundaries are being crossed. Learn to express it directly and constructively. So, journaling or voice notes can help you practice saying what you mean. Next is to stop choosing partners who dim your power. Start noticing the difference between attraction and soul resonance. Just because someone feels exciting or familiar doesn't mean they're safe. Choose people who honor your autonomy. Next is to validate your desires without guilt. Your need for space, adventure, or leadership in a relationship isn't selfish. It's sovereign. Practice owning what you want without diluting it for someone else's comfort. Next is to reclaim your identity outside of us. Make a list of who you are without your partner. What lights you up? What dreams are just yours? Then live them. When you embody your own flame, you naturally magnetize balanced love. And finally, don't just mirror, initiate the energy you want. Instead of responding to how your partner behaves, set the tone. Model direct communication, emotional honesty, and healthy independence. Let your energy lead the relationship into growth. A great affirmation for your Aries-ruled 7th house is, I am the flame I've been waiting for. In love, I do not shrink, I rise. I trust that when I lead with truth, I attract those who meet me in my power. Okay, your turn. Be sure to chat with me in the comments and let me know what resonated with you. And of course, hit that like button, send this to someone who needs it, and subscribe for more star-powered clarity. And if you're ready to stop outsourcing your worth and finally come home to yourself, my Venus Activation Journal guides you through your Venus sign and house so you can rewire how you see and love yourself. So be sure to check it out. The links are below. I appreciate you, and thanks so much for listening. Taurus in the 7th house is a karmic invitation to reclaim your self-worth from the mirror of relationships. This isn't about finding someone to build a life with. It's about building a life you feel safe inside so that love can enter, not rescue. Your soul signed up to learn that safety isn't a partner, a paycheck, or a promise. It's a frequency you cultivate from within. In this lifetime, you attract partnerships that challenge your ability to stay rooted in your truth, especially when love feels conditional. You may come into this life with a memory of being uprooted by love, whether through abandonment, betrayal, or financial instability. And so your nervous system learns to equate commitment with control, or security with sacrifice. But Taurus here teaches you that love doesn't shake your foundation. It mirrors it. This placement is about remembering that you are not meant to build castles on quicksand. Love is not a prize for staying quiet. It is not a performance you perfect to be chosen. It is a mirror of your own inner landscape. And the moment you stop bending yourself to be enough for someone else, you become magnetic to the kind of partnership that honors your natural rhythm, your values, and your capacity to give and receive from a place of peace. You're here to experience love as a sanctuary, not a storm. But the journey begins by becoming that sanctuary for yourself first. Taurus in the 7th often comes with karmic patterns of staying too long, giving too much, or silencing your needs to keep the peace. These patterns are not random. They are rooted in ancestral survival fears and internalized scarcity of, if I lose them, I lose stability. Some of the challenges that come with this placement is one, a fear of change or loss. You may cling to relationships well past their expiration date because the idea of starting over feels terrifying. Even unhealthy dynamics can feel safe when they're predictable. Another is over-identification with loyalty. You may confuse devotion with self-erasure, believing that unconditional love means tolerating emotional starvation or neglect. Another is externalizing your worth. So you may seek validation through being chosen, stable, or good enough for your partner, rather than creating that wealth internally. Another is resistance to emotional risk. Vulnerability can feel threatening with this placement, so you may appear steady on the outside, but emotionally guarded, afraid that expressing your deeper needs will disrupt the harmony you've worked so hard to maintain. These challenges aren't flaws. They're invitations to reclaim self-trust, redefine what stability really means, and release the outdated belief that being chosen is your only form of safety. Having this placement, you attract relationships that seem solid, grounded, or reliable. But underneath the surface, they may be built on unspoken compromises. You might find yourself with partners who expect you to be the rock, the calm in the storm, the one who never asks for too much. And you oblige until you feel resentful, empty, or invisible. So you may notice that you're attracted to partners who represent financial or emotional security, even if passion or spiritual alignment is lacking. You may notice that you are the giver, the caretaker, the emotional anchor, often forgetting that you also have needs. Breakups feel like identity deaths, not just emotional losses, because your self-worth becomes too enmeshed in the relationship itself. You may also find that you stay loyal to potential, hoping they'll grow into who you need, while you delay your own growth out of fear of rocking the boat. These patterns reflect a soul still learning that your inner peace is not negotiable. Relationships are mirrors, not lifeboats. And your job is to stop tolerating discomfort just because you've grown used to the weight. Healing this placement means returning to your body, your voice, your pleasure, and your power. You are here to learn that you are already the safe space you've been looking for. The first step to achieving this is to reclaim worth from the inside out. Create rituals of self-recognition. Don't wait for others to see your value. See it first. Speak it aloud. Write it down. Anchor it into your body. You are not worthy because someone stays. You are worthy because you stay with yourself. Next is to learn the art of sacred no. Saying no doesn't make you difficult. It makes you sovereign. Practice declining what feels off, even if it's stable. Peace that costs your intuition isn't peace. It's self-abandonment. Next is to release the martyr mask. You don't have to be the calm, perfect partner to be loved. Let your edges show. Let your needs breathe. Let yourself be held, not just hold. Relationships are not meant to be one-sided temples of tolerance. Next is to root in your own rhythm. Taurus moves slowly and intuitively. Honor your own timeline in love. Don't rush intimacy. Don't force forgiveness. And don't compromise alignment for comfort. Love that lasts will meet you where you are. Next is to embody pleasure as power. Healing this placement means returning to your senses. Touch, beauty, stillness, nourishment. Let yourself feel good. Receive softness and prioritize happiness. Love isn't just a commitment. It's a celebration of life. And finally, build a life you don't want to escape from. The more safety you build within your own routines, finances, and emotional world, the less likely you are to grasp for security through others. Make your life feel like home, so that love is an enhancement, not a necessity. A great affirmation for your Taurus-ruled 7th house is, I choose love that honors my peace, not love that makes me earn it. I am rooted in my worth, and I trust that the right relationships will meet me in my fullness, not my silence. Okay, I've shared the tea. Now it's your turn. Let me know what resonated in the comments below. And of course, love on this video with a like, spread the magic, and subscribe so the universe keeps sending you these vibes. And your chart already holds the answers. My As Above, So Within guided journal helps you pull them out and put them on paper, so you can finally see who you're becoming. So be sure to check it out. The links are below. I appreciate you, and thanks so much for listening. With Gemini on the 7th house cusp, your soul's work in this lifetime is to evolve your understanding of love through mental connection, duality, and the truth that lives beyond words. This isn't just about finding someone to talk to. It's about uncovering the layers of self you hide behind the mask of charm, intelligence, or humor. At the heart of this placement is a karmic invitation to integrate the fractured pieces of your inner dialogue through the mirrors of partnership. You may have experienced past lives or early conditioning where being fully seen or emotionally understood felt unsafe. So you learn to speak in code, using wit to deflect, logic to protect, or adaptability to survive. In this lifetime, however, those same tools can either build intimacy or keep you from it. Gemini energy in the 7th house reveals that your relationships are meant to awaken your curiosity, not just your comfort. You are here to learn that love is not static. It's a series of conversations, constantly evolving, deepening, and revealing who you are in real time. But in order to receive that kind of love, you have to stop shape-shifting to be chosen and instead become radically honest about who you are. This placement is about learning to love without performance, to stop being the mirror and start becoming the voice, to find someone who isn't just fun to talk to, but who listens deeply enough to know when your silence is the real truth. The sole invitation of Gemini in the 7th is not to choose the right partner in the traditional sense, but to become the kind of partner who can hold space for multiple truths, emotional honesty, and the tender messiness of being human. Because when you stop hiding behind words, the love that finds you will be real, grounded, and resonant. The challenges of this placement often come from mistaking stimulation for intimacy or connection for commitment. So one of these blocks is mental burnout from overthinking love. You process everything intellectually, even emotions. This can lead to paralysis through analysis, where you try to talk yourself into or out of love rather than feel your way through it. Another challenge is inconsistency in partnerships. You may attract or become partners who are hot one minute and cold the next, because emotional consistency feels confining when you're still unsure of your own values. There's often a fear of choosing wrong, so you keep your options open or your heart slightly closed. Another is saying what they want to hear. You've learned how to adapt your words to stay liked or avoid confrontation, but this creates relationships where you're loved for a version of you, not the real you. Eventually, this leads to resentment and disconnection. Another is a fear of depth disguised as preference for lightness. So you might resist deep emotional entanglements under the guise of keeping it fun. But beneath that is often a fear that if someone truly knew your inner world, they might leave. So you stay breezy, distant, or overly chatty instead of emotionally available. This placement shows up in highly specific relational dynamics and repeating patterns, such as attracting talkers, not listeners. So you often find yourself with partners who dominate conversations or avoid emotional depth by keeping things surface level and witty. This can also show up as hyperanalyzing relationship dynamics. You read between every line, dissect every text, and may even replay conversations in your head on loop. Your mind is always trying to solve love rather than simply experience it. Another is having double lives in love. So you might carry two versions of yourself, the one your partner sees and the one that stays hidden. This creates relational dissonance, where no one really knows you because you keep parts of yourself tucked away. You may also notice that you are into serial dating or situationship loops. Gemini's restless energy can manifest in cycling through partners, always chasing what's new, but never quite landing in intimacy. There is a hunger for variety, but also an avoidance of emotional stability. This can also show up as partnerships that feel like classrooms. You're drawn to lovers who challenge your beliefs, introduce you to new perspectives, or open your mind. But it may feel more like debate than devotion until you ground into emotional safety. Gemini in the 7th doesn't just ask you to find your voice. It asks you to fall in love with your own mind. Healing begins when you stop outsourcing clarity to others and start building emotional intimacy with yourself. The first step to achieving this is to ground your voice in your values. You don't have to say the right thing. You just have to say the real thing. Start practicing radical honesty with yourself. What do you want? What beliefs are truly yours, and which ones were picked up just to be agreeable? Next is to slow down and feel. You already know how to think about your relationships. Now it's time to feel them. Create sacred space to journal about your emotions before you explain them away. Let your heart speak without your mind editing the story. Next is to create a safe inner dialogue. Your thoughts can be your sanctuary or what sabotages you. Practice self-talk that is kind, curious, and non-judgmental. You don't need all the answers. You just need to hold space for your evolving truth. Next is to stop performing relational intelligence. You don't have to be the cool, woke, or understanding partner all the time. Let yourself be messy. Speak up when something hurts. Ask for clarity when you're confused. Your emotional needs are just as valid as your intellectual ones. Next is to call back the hidden you. Write a letter to the parts of you you've muted in relationships. The awkward, emotional, reactive, or sensitive parts. Apologize to them. Reclaim them. Integrate them into your identity so that love doesn't require self-abandonment. And finally, learn to stay when it's boring. Not every partnership needs to be a TED Talk. Learn to cherish the mundane, the shared silence, the everyday rituals, the predictable rhythms. That's where trust is built, and that's where real intimacy begins. A great affirmation for your Gemini-ruled 7th house is, I honor my truth even when it trembles. I do not perform connection. I become it. My love is sacred, curious, and real. Let's make this a chart therapy session and share your thoughts in the comments below. And of course, love on this video with a like, spread the magic, and subscribe so the universe keeps sending you these vibes. And if you're tired of repeating old patterns, my Venus Activation Journal walks you through reconnecting with your self-worth and rewriting your love story from the inside out. So be sure to grab it. The links are below. I appreciate you, and thanks so much for listening. With Cancer on your descendant, your soul came into this lifetime to learn how to feel safe inside of intimacy without losing yourself inside of it. Love is never surface level for you. It reaches straight into your emotional roots. But that's exactly why relationships hold such a powerful mirror for your healing. They stir the parts of you that never felt fully held, fully chosen, or fully safe. You carry a soul contract to heal the wounds of emotional over-responsibility, often rooted in childhood dynamics. There's a subconscious tendency to seek out partnerships that echo early home life, such as partners who need saving, feel emotionally unpredictable, or require you to overfunction just to keep the relationship afloat. But this is not because you want chaos or codependency, but because that kind of caretaking once felt like love. It's familiar. It's what you were taught was required to be good, to be kept, or to be loved. But Cancer in the 7th isn't here to stay stuck in those patterns. You're here to learn the difference between comfort and nourishment, between emotional obligation and emotional alignment. This placement asks you to remember, you don't have to mother your partner. You don't have to shrink to be accepted. You don't have to be needed in order to be wanted. Your sacred lesson is to cultivate emotional maturity in your partnerships, where both people show up from a place of wholeness, not wounding. That means honoring your own needs, setting boundaries with compassion, and realizing that true love never requires self-abandonment. Cancer here also points to a deep ancestral imprint around relationships, where generations before you may have stayed in unhealthy dynamics out of duty, survival, or fear of being alone. You are the breaker of that chain, the one who redefines what it means to belong, not just to someone else, but to yourself. This is your soul's emotional graduation, to feel safe inside yourself so that love can become a shared sanctuary, not a survival strategy. Cancer in the 7th often manifests as emotional enmeshment or dependency, where you absorb your partner's moods and abandon your own emotional clarity. A fear of abandonment is another. This causes you to overgive, overfunction, or emotionally regress in order to feel safe. You also have the challenge of choosing partners based on comfort or familiarity rather than alignment, sometimes mistaking emotional need for emotional compatibility. Another challenge is attracting emotionally unavailable or inconsistent partners because of an unconscious belief that you must earn emotional closeness. Acting like a parent in your relationships is another challenge. This is you taking on a caretaker role that leaves little room for your own vulnerability or desires. These patterns can feel soothing at first, but over time, they create a dynamic where you feel unmet, unseen, or over-responsible for someone else's well-being. This placement challenges you to come home to yourself before you try to build a home with another. This energy can show up in a few different ways. So you may find that you're drawn to people who feel familiar, almost like you've known them before. These are often karmic bonds that replay family stories. You may also find that you attract partners who are emotionally sensitive, moody, or needy, mirroring your own suppressed emotional needs. In some cases, you may become the emotional rock or nurturer, carrying the weight of your partner's unprocessed pain while neglecting your own. Another is conflict avoidance may become a strategy for you. So you may stay quiet, small, or agreeable to avoid triggering abandonment. And this may also show up where your boundaries blur easily. The more someone needs you, the more secure you may feel until you realize you've lost touch with your own needs. But this mirror also reflects your superpower, an intuitive ability to love deeply, to create warmth, and to hold emotional space. Once you've healed this, your partnerships can become sanctuaries, spaces of mutual nourishment, and not emotional survival. To attract high vibrational, emotionally balanced love, Cancer in the 7th must first reparent itself, not through perfection, but through self-honesty. Your healing begins when you stop asking love to rescue you from your own emotional landscape and start meeting yourself in it instead. One of the best ways to do this is first to create emotional boundaries, not walls. Learn to tell the difference between connection and enmeshment. Just because you feel someone's pain doesn't mean you have to carry it. Practice holding your emotional space as sacred, even in love. Next is to mother yourself first. Your inner child is often driving your relationship choices. Before rushing in to nurture others, ask, what do I need right now? What would the most loving parent give me in this moment? Then give it to yourself, no matter how small. Next is to release the need to be needed. Being indispensable isn't the same as being loved. Watch where you equate being useful with being worthy. You deserve connection simply because you are, not because of what you do. Next is to rewrite your family contracts. Notice where your relationships mirror your upbringing. Ask yourself, whose emotional template am I repeating? Who taught me love had to be earned, performed, or protected? Break the pattern by showing up for yourself in the way you always wanted someone else to. And finally, practice secure expression. Your emotional depth is powerful, but it can get buried under fear or overwhelm. Practice expressing your needs clearly and calmly without guilt. This builds a foundation of mutual safety in your future relationships. A great affirmation for your Cancer-ruled 7th house is, I am my own home. I nurture my needs, protect my peace, and invite love that feels emotionally true, not emotionally familiar. Be sure to let me know what part hit home for you in the comments below. And of course, show some love for this video with a like, spread the magic to your friends, and subscribe so the universe keeps sending you these vibes. And if you're ready to stop outsourcing your worth and finally come home to yourself, My Venus Activation Journal guides you through your Venus sign and house so you can rewire how you see and love yourself. Not rewire. So be sure to check it out. The links are listed below. I appreciate you, and thanks so much for listening. Leo in your 7th house reveals that your soul came here to experience partnership as a mirror of self-recognition. But it's not just about being adored by others. It's about learning how to stand in your own light without shrinking, dimming, or overperforming for love. This placement initiates a journey where you'll attract relationships that either reflect your brilliance or challenge your belief in it. You are learning that love is not something to be earned by dazzling others with your charm, loyalty, or generosity. It is something you are already worthy of, simply because of who you are. There's often a deep inner child longing at the root of this placement, a part of you that wants to be validated, clapped for, cherished. And while there's nothing wrong with desiring recognition, your evolution lies in realizing that external admiration can never fill the void of internal celebration. Your soul assignment is to stop casting partners as the audience to your performance, to stop chasing applause in love, and to stop thinking that being chosen by another person is what makes you worthy of devotion. This is about reclaiming the crown you've given away, sometimes to partners who didn't know how to carry it, or who were intimidated by your light. You came here to rule your own heart, to express your full radiance, and to build relationships rooted in authentic connection, not applause, performance, or silent resentment. In past lifetimes or early in this life, you may have learned to equate love with performance. If I shine enough, they'll stay. If I'm impressive enough, they'll choose me. But Leo in the 7th house is your invitation to unhook from that conditional loop. It's time to experience love not as a stage, but as a sanctuary. You attract soul contracts that challenge you to ask, am I being loved for who I am or who I'm performing to be? Can I receive love without doing anything to earn it? Do I choose relationships that mirror my worth or undermine it? When you do this work, your partnerships become royal reflections of your inner wholeness. You no longer seek a throne beside someone else. You are the throne. And the right love, they won't compete with your light. They'll help you keep it burning brighter. Leo in the 7th can bring emotional blind spots around self-expression, value, and ego in love. One of these blocks is over-identifying with being chosen. You may equate being in a relationship with being worthy, placing too much pressure on love to define your identity. Another is attracting emotionally unavailable or spotlight-stealing partners. So you may unconsciously magnetize people who overshadow you, criticize your light, or make love conditional. Another challenge is fear of vulnerability. Because Leo is proud and protective, showing your true emotional needs can feel terrifying. So you might hide behind strength, humor, or charisma to avoid being truly seen. Another challenge is sacrificing your authenticity to be loved. So you may act like the partner you think someone wants instead of revealing who you really are, just to avoid rejection. These challenges point to one core wound: the belief that your worth must be proven or performed in order to be loved. Leo on the Descendant reveals relationship patterns that revolve around visibility, validation, and recognition. So you may see this show up in a few different ways. You may attract partners who need a lot of attention or admiration. So this mirrors your own internal desire to be deeply seen and the parts of you that question if you're enough without applause. You may also see that you become the cheerleader in love, always hyping up your partner while secretly wondering, but who's clapping for me? You may also find that you put on a mask in relationships. So you show only your most polished, shiny, confident self while hiding your deeper insecurities out of fear they'll drive someone away. You may feel triggered when your partner doesn't acknowledge your efforts. So you may spiral into self-doubt when you don't feel appreciated, even if they haven't done anything wrong. You may also find that you swing between pride and people-pleasing. Sometimes you protect your heart by acting like you don't need anyone. Other times you bend over backwards to keep the relationship going, even if it costs your happiness. These are not failures. They're patterns asking to be healed through self-reclamation. This placement is calling you back home to your throne. The Leo 7th house healing path is about inner reparenting, radical self-recognition, and conscious sovereignty. The first step to achieving this is to crown yourself daily. Create rituals that remind you of your inherent worth, whether anyone applauds you or not. Write love letters to yourself. Speak affirmations into the mirror. Name your desires out loud. You don't need a relationship to feel chosen when you choose yourself first. Next is to let go of loyalty to the performance. Notice when you're trying to be the ideal partner rather than your real self. Practice showing up even when you're messy, moody, or unsure. Vulnerability doesn't make you less regal. It makes you real. Your authenticity is magnetic. Next is to heal the inner child who needed praise to feel safe. Often this placement stems from a childhood where love was conditional on achievement or appearance. Hold space for that part of you. Let them know they don't need to earn love anymore. It's already theirs. Next is to ask, is this love or is this an audience? Not every admirer is a match. Not every spark is a soul bond. Don't confuse attention for alignment. Real love doesn't just see your light. It knows how to hold it. Next is to celebrate without compromise. Your joy is sacred. Your dreams are valid. Don't shrink dim, or mute yourself for anyone. The right partner won't be intimidated by your light. They'll rise to meet it. And finally, redefine what it means to be chosen. Being chosen isn't about someone picking you. It's about building love where you are co-choosing one another every day from a place of mutual respect, joy, and freedom. That's the high vibration Leo love your soul came to experience. A great affirmation for your Leo-ruled 7th house is, I am not here to audition for love. I am here to embody it. I choose myself first, and from that place of radiance, I attract a partner who celebrates, uplifts, and mirrors my joy. Okay, I've shared the tea. Now it's your turn. Let me know what resonated most with you in the comments below. And of course, be sure to hit like, send this to your besties, and subscribe so you never miss your cosmic upgrade. And you don't have to keep guessing who you are. My As Above, So Within guided journal helps you to get real about what you want and what you're here for. So be sure to grab it. The links are below. I appreciate you, and thanks so much for listening. When Virgo rules your 7th house, relationships are initiations of refinement, self-awareness, and sacred service. But this placement is often misunderstood because what looks like pickiness on the surface is actually the soul searching for a kind of purity of connection that feels grounding, real, and mutually healing. Virgo in the 7th isn't about idealizing partners. It's about unconsciously trying to fix yourself through them. You may feel magnetized to people who need your help, who feel broken or lost, or who carry chaos that activates your inner healer. This is because you're trying to prove your worth through being useful, loyal, supportive, or good enough to be chosen. But the deeper meaning is, you're not here to be someone's remedy. You're here to evolve into your own source of healing and wholeness first. Partnership becomes a mirror that reflects your most deeply internalized self-judgments. You may find yourself micromanaging, walking on eggshells, or constantly analyzing the relationship, looking for what's not working, what could go wrong, or how you need to improve to keep their love. This overfunctioning is rooted in a subconscious belief that you must earn love by being perfect. The soul assignment here is powerful. To stop treating love like a job and start treating it like a sacred choice. To stop identifying your value with how much effort you give and start anchoring into the truth that you are already enough, even when you're not fixing, helping, or making everything better. This placement carries an ancestral undertone. It may be that you come from a lineage of women or caregivers who were taught to be the caretaker, the organizer, the one who holds it all together. And now, in this lifetime, you're being asked to break that pattern, not by rejecting love, but by redefining it on your own terms. You're here to reclaim a relationship dynamic that honors mutual care, emotional spaciousness, and grace for imperfection. starting with how you treat yourself. This placement calls you to ask yourself, why do I equate love with proving my value? Who taught me that being chosen required being perfect? What if the right partner doesn't need me to fix them? They just need me to be real. When you start answering those questions, your relationships shift. You stop seeking love that gives you something to do and start creating love that allows you to simply be. At the core of this placement is a spiritual paradox. You deeply desire a healthy, harmonious, stable relationship, but you may unknowingly sabotage that desire through perfectionism, control, and constant self-assessment. One of the core blocks to this placement is perfectionism as protection. Virgo energy craves improvement, but in the 7th house, this can turn into micromanaging your partner or yourself. You may set impossibly high standards in love, then feel anxious, disappointed, or unfulfilled when real people, including you, don't measure up. It's not just about being picky. It's about using perfection as a way to avoid emotional risk. Another challenge is over-functioning in relationships. So you may take on the emotional labor in relationships, becoming the fixer, the helper, the caretaker, even when it's not asked of you. This dynamic becomes exhausting. You might feel resentful for always doing the most, but struggle to stop because your worth is tangled up in being needed. Another is hyper-awareness of what's wrong. Because Virgo is ruled by Mercury, there's a tendency to analyze, overthink, and emotionally scan the relationship for flaws. You may focus on what's missing or broken rather than what's working. This creates a sense that love is never enough and can quietly erode intimacy. Another challenge is avoidance of emotional vulnerability. Virgo in the 7th can unconsciously intellectualize feelings. Rather than expressing raw emotion, you might default to logic, problem solving, or fixing the feeling instead of sitting in it. But this creates distance because your partner doesn't just want to be understood, they want to be felt. Another challenge is attracting unbalanced dynamics. This placement often attracts partners who need help, emotionally, mentally, or even practically. And while being supportive is a strength, it can tip into codependency. So you may unconsciously choose partners who reflect your inner wounds of not being enough, recreating cycles of imbalance where you give more than you receive. These blocks don't mean you're not capable of love. They mean your version of love has been shaped by self-sacrifice disguised as service. Healing begins when you realize that love isn't something you earn by being good, useful, or perfect. It's something you experience when you feel safe being whole and human. Virgo on the 7th house cusp shapes the kinds of relationships you attract, the role you often play within them, and the energetic imprint that defines your connections, often long before you're aware of it. So you may find that you attract partners who are works in progress. Your relationships often feel like projects. You may be drawn to people who need support, healing, or fixing in some way. People with potential, but not yet fully stable. So whether it's a partner recovering from past trauma, figuring out their career, or emotionally unsure of themselves, you're often placed in the role of guide or caregiver, subtly reinforcing the dynamic that you must earn love by helping. You may also find that you become the emotional manager. Even if your partner is fully capable, you often find yourself organizing the details of the relationship, remembering anniversaries, managing their emotions, checking in first, suggesting growth books or podcasts. While this shows your devotion, it also reveals your subconscious belief that love must be proven through action and service, not just felt and received. Another way this can show up is self-doubt creeping into your choices. So you might second guess your own desires in love, such as, is this good enough? Am I good enough? Am I asking for too much? The Virgo 7th house constantly evaluates. So even when things are stable, your minds may run loops around what could be improved. It can be hard to trust your feelings when your inner critic is so loud. You may also find that you seek safety through control. So whether it's trying to control your schedule, your partner's behavior, or the emotional temperature of the relationship, your nervous system often doesn't feel safe unless things are orderly. And you may also find that you struggle to receive. You're far more comfortable giving love than receiving it. Compliments may make you suspicious. Kindness makes you feel like you owe something back. You might over-apologize, downplay your needs, or reject help out of guilt. Underneath it all is a wound that whispers, I must earn love by being useful. A belief that slowly burns you out. To heal Virgo in the 7th, you must stop proving your worth through perfection. You're not here to fix others or become flawless. You're here to learn how to love yourself through the mess. Soften your inner critic and honor your wholeness, even when life and love feel unfinished. The first step to achieving this is to give yourself the grace you give others. You are quick to forgive others, but harsh on yourself. Practice radical self-acceptance. Let your heart be messy. Let your process be imperfect. Start affirming that you're worthy even when you're still figuring things out. The love you're looking for isn't in becoming enough. It's in realizing you already are. A great journaling prompt for you is, what do I believe I need to fix about myself before I'm worthy of love? Who told me that was true? Next is to stop choosing projects over partners. You're not here to be someone's emotional rehab center. Notice when you're more attracted to someone's potential than who they actually are. And ask yourself, am I trying to earn love through usefulness? Your healing begins the moment you choose someone who meets you where you are, not someone who needs to be rescued. Next is to learn to receive without guilt. Receiving love, compliments, rest, or even help may trigger feelings of debt or discomfort. Challenge that belief. Practice letting someone support you without immediately thinking about how to earn it back. You don't have to do anything to deserve tenderness. You just have to open the door and let it in. And you can practice this So the next time someone compliments or offers help, don't deflect or downplay. Just say, "Thank you. I received that." Next is to shift from self-improvement to self-honoring. Virgo energy can get stuck in the loop of always trying to be better. But healing isn't about improvement. It's about alignment. Ask not what's wrong with me, but what do I need more of? Maybe it's softness, time, fun, or rest. Start honoring your humanness as much as your productivity. Next is to soothe the nervous system that fears being a burden. Your urge to overfunction in relationships often comes from a younger version of you who felt like love had to be earned by not taking up too much space. Healing means telling that inner child, "You're not too much. You're not a problem. You don't have to fix everything to be safe here." And finally, become the partner you've always been. You've shown up with devotion, detail, and care for others. Now turn that same sacred energy inward. Cook yourself a beautiful meal. Organize your own dreams. Tend to your nervous system like it's the love of your life. When you stop outsourcing your tenderness, you become magnetic to someone who meets you there. A great affirmation for your Virgo-ruled 7th house is, "I'm not here to be perfect. I am here to be whole. I deserve love that honors my humanity, not in spite of it, but because of it." Your astro confessions are welcome, so be sure to tell me what resonated most in the comments below. And of course, give this video a thumbs up, pass it to your besties, and subscribe for more cosmic truths. And if you're tired of repeating old patterns, my Venus Activation Journal walks you through reconnecting with your self-worth and rewriting your love story from the inside out. So be sure to grab it. The links are below. I appreciate you, and thanks so much for listening. With Libra in your 7th house, your soul came into this lifetime with a mission to master the art of sacred union, beginning with the union within yourself. Libra brings the desire for balance, beauty, peace, and partnership. But this placement isn't about surface-level aesthetics or people-pleasing. It's about discovering who you are when you're not defined by others. At its highest frequency, Libra in the 7th teaches the sacred dance of mutuality, how to show up in partnership without collapsing into the other person or demanding they reflect only what feels good. The soul invitation here is to become a master of relational wisdom, learning how to both give and receive, how to stand in truth while making space for another's, and how to choose connection over performance. But this energy also initiates a karmic journey through the illusions of love. So you've most likely experienced relationships that mirrored a fractured sense of self-worth, where keeping the peace meant losing yourself, or where love felt like something you had to earn through effort, appearance, or compromise. The lesson is not to abandon relationship, but to evolve it. Love, for you, is not the goal. It's the vehicle for your highest growth. Now, this placement can come with a few challenges, one of them being the peacekeeping addiction. So you may default to being the emotional diplomat, avoiding conflict, silencing your truth, or molding yourself to keep others happy. But harmony without authenticity is just a performance. You must learn that tension isn't the enemy. It's the birthplace of real intimacy. Another challenge is outsourcing your identity. With this placement, you may unconsciously rely on relationships to tell you who you are. Without a partner, you may feel lost or invisible. But the truth is, partnerships are meant to reflect your value, not define it. Another is over-romanticizing connection. Libra can chase the idea of love rather than the real thing. You may have found yourself in relationships that looked perfect on the outside, but felt hollow on the inside. These mirrors reveal where you prioritized appearance over emotional truth. Another block with this energy is fear of rocking the boat. There can be a deep-rooted fear that asserting yourself will destroy the relationship, so you may water yourself down or withhold your needs. The challenge is learning that love, strong enough to last, is strong enough to hold the truth. You tend to attract partnerships where one of two things happen. Either you overgive and lose your voice, or you fall for someone who mirrors your unhealed sense of self-worth. These relationships show up to help you realize where your inner balance is off, where you give too much, expect too little, or sacrifice yourself to maintain connection. Your past partners may have been emotionally unavailable, narcissistic, or overly dominant, reflecting your own suppressed assertiveness. Or you may have chosen safe relationships where you could hide behind perfection and politeness instead of showing your full self. Libra in the 7th can also manifest as a strong yearning for companionship. So you may deeply desire to build a life with someone, but struggle to sustain the relationship if your needs go unmet or your boundaries aren't honored. Love feels essential to your soul, but it becomes healing only when it supports your whole self, not just your nice self. Healing this placement begins when you stop seeking balance through others and begin creating it within yourself. The moment you treat your own voice, needs, and desires with the same reverence you give others, your entire relationship paradigm shifts. To achieve this, the first step is to reclaim the power of your no. Your peace is sacred, but it isn't bought through silence. Practice speaking up, even if it creates discomfort. Say no when something doesn't align. Each time you honor your inner boundary, you build a stronger foundation for real, lasting love. Next is to stop performing perfect love. You don't need to be charming, easygoing, or desirable 24/7. You are lovable in your rawness, in your contradiction, in your truth. The more you allow yourself to be fully seen, even when it's messy, the more aligned your connections will become. Affirm, I release the pressure to be palatable. I am worthy of love in my fullness. Next is to return to your inner mirror. When you start feeling off in a relationship, don't just focus on them. Turn inward. Ask yourself, where have I stopped listening to myself? What am I sacrificing to keep the peace? You are your own best reflection. Trust what your body and spirit are telling you. Next is to nurture rituals of self-belonging. Do things just for you. Make your space beautiful. Treat yourself like a lover. Light the candles. Play your favorite music. Wear something that makes you feel powerful. Not for anyone else, but because you deserve your own care. Next is to let conflict become a portal. Instead of avoiding hard conversations, see them as invitations. They are not signs that love is failing. They are signs that you're growing into deeper truth. Let yourself be challenged. Let yourself challenge back. This is how trust is built. And finally, choose wholeness over half love. The old version of you may have settled for 70% love, but the healed you knows better. You don't need just any relationship. You need a reciprocal one. And the more you honor yourself, the more the universe sends partnerships that reflect your elevation. A great affirmation for your Libra-ruled 7th house is, I no longer shrink to fit love. I expand into it. The more I honor my truth, the more magnetic I become to relationships that mirror it. Be sure to drop your wow, this is me moment in the comments. I read them all. And of course, if this lit you up, hit like, share it with your friends, and subscribe so you never miss the next download. And if you're ready to stop outsourcing your worth and finally come home to yourself, my Venus Activation Journal guides you through your Venus sign and house so you can rewire how you see and love yourself. So be sure to check it out. The links are below. I appreciate you, and thanks so much for listening. With Scorpio in your 7th house, your soul came into this lifetime to experience the deepest layers of intimacy, trust, and transformation through partnership. This is not the placement of casual love. You're here to explore the alchemy of connection, how love strips you bare, mirrors your fears, and ultimately leads to your personal rebirth. Scorpio in the 7th house reveals that relationships are your crucible, the place where karmic contracts play out, soul wounds are activated, and hidden power dynamics come to the surface. These partnerships are never surface level. They are soul level. You don't just date, you merge. But that merging is meant to be healing, not consuming. Your lesson is to witness the power struggles without becoming enslaved to them, and to cultivate emotional sovereignty, even in the most magnetic bonds. At the core of this placement is a profound teaching that true intimacy requires vulnerability, and vulnerability requires trust, not control. You're learning to face the fears that get triggered when you let someone close, and to release the need to emotionally manipulate, fix, or fuse with a partner in order to feel secure. The universe sends you deeply karmic relationships, not to destroy you, but to show you your own unclaimed power. Some of the blocks and challenges that come with this placement is emotional enmeshment. Scorpio energy can become consumed by the emotional field of another. So you may struggle to know where you end and they begin. This leads to codependency, possessiveness, or obsession disguised as love. Another challenge is fear of betrayal or abandonment. At the root of your relational pattern may be a deeply embedded fear that love always ends in loss. This fear can lead you to test, control, or push others away before they can leave you first. Another is karmic entanglements. Many of your past and even current relationships feel intense, magnetic, and fated, like you've known this person in another life. And that's likely true. But not all soul connections are meant to last. Some are meant to awaken the shadows you haven't yet faced. There's also an addiction to drama or crisis. Scorpio thrives in the extremes, so you may unconsciously attract relationships that are stormy or chaotic because calm love feels unfamiliar or boring. But healing means recognizing that peace is not the same as disconnection. You are drawn to partners who are emotionally intense, mysterious, magnetic, or even controlling, and they reflect back the parts of you that are still hidden, suppressed, or afraid of being seen. These partnerships often involve power struggles, secrecy, or the feeling of being hooked into someone else's energy. You may fall into patterns of rescuing or being rescued, controlling or being controlled. There's often an addictive quality to these dynamics, like you can't quit the person even if they hurt you. Or you might find yourself drawn to unavailable or emotionally wounded people, hoping that if you love them enough, you can heal both of you. You're not here to avoid love. You're here to alchemize through love. These patterns exist not because you're broken, but because your soul is seeking its own integration through what's reflected in others. When you learn to decode these mirrors without collapsing into them, your relationships shift dramatically. True healing with Scorpio in the 7th house begins when you stop fearing your emotional depths and start claiming them. You must become the kind of partner to yourself that you keep searching for in others. Someone who's devoted, emotionally present, deeply intuitive, and fully honest. The first step to achieving this is to build emotional boundaries without armoring. Your default may be either to overmerge or to shut down completely. Start practicing emotional discernment. Feel everything, but don't absorb everything. You can hold space for others without abandoning yourself. Affirm. I trust myself to stay rooted in my energy, even when emotions run deep. Next is to break the trauma bond loop. If you keep attracting people who trigger your wounds, Ask yourself, what unresolved pain am I reenacting here? Healing means no longer needing chaos to feel alive. Choose partners who feel emotionally safe, not just chemically charged. Next is to cultivate inner transparency. You crave honesty and depth from others, but are you being radically honest with yourself? Journal your deepest fears. Name your desires. Sit with your own intensity. The more transparent you are with yourself, the less you'll need others to reveal your truth for you. Next is to reclaim power without needing to prove it. You're not here to win emotional battles. You're here to embody emotional mastery. Instead of trying to out-deep or psychoanalyze your partner, redirect that intensity inward. Real power comes from regulating your nervous system, trusting your intuition, and choosing peace over provocation. You don't have to engage in the tug of war to know you've grown. Detachment is not abandonment. It's energetic leadership. Affirm, I don't need to fight for power when I already embody it. Next is to use ritual to reclaim your energy. When a relationship ends, it can feel like a death. Create rituals to energetically release the past. Cord cutting meditations, letter burning, salt baths. Call your power back. This is not about severing love. It's about severing attachment to pain. And finally, transform, don't transfuse. You're not here to carry the emotional baggage of others. You're here to transform it, but only when invited and only when safe. Don't lose yourself in their healing journey. Stay in your own sacred lane. A great affirmation for your Scorpio-ruled 7th house is, I release the need to fuse in order to feel love. I am whole within myself. My energy is sacred. My heart is safe, and I trust love that honors my power. Let's make this a chart therapy session and share your thoughts in the comments below. And of course, be sure to hit like, send this to your besties, and subscribe so you never miss your cosmic upgrade. Your chart is a mirror, and my As Above, So Within guided journal helps you look into it deeply. With 100+ prompts, this 88-page journal will help you uncover what you want, what you're here for, and who you're becoming. Be sure to check it out. The links are below. I appreciate you, and thanks so much for watching. With Sagittarius ruling your 7th house, relationships are the spiritual classroom where your soul learns to evolve beyond comfort and into truth. You don't just attract partners. You attract philosophies, belief systems, and entire new worlds through your connections. But it's never about blindly following someone else's path. It's about learning how to trust your own. This placement reveals that your heart is wired for expansion. You crave connections that stretch you, challenge you, shake up your world view. And this is by divine design. Whether it's a partner from a different background, someone who forces you to question your beliefs, or a whirlwind romance that cracks open your old identity. Love always arrives as an initiator into your next level. But the true lesson of Sagittarius here isn't just about freedom or growth. It's about discernment. You're not here to collect experiences just to say you've had them. You're here to become someone wiser, clearer, and more aligned with your personal truth because of what those relationships showed you. Every partner is a mirror reflecting one core question. Are you living your truth or borrowing someone else's? And the more you try to chase meaning through someone else's direction, the more you'll feel like you're losing yourself. Until you finally understand. The adventure was never out there. It was always the relationship with your own spirit, using love as the map. This placement teaches that the most expansive love will never ask you to shrink. And the most aligned partnerships are not those that give you answers, but those that support your lifelong quest to live the questions. Love for you is not the destination. It's the divine detour that brings you home to yourself. This placement carries a deep fear of entrapment, emotionally, spiritually, or even geographically. You may unconsciously sabotage relationships the moment they begin to deepen, fearing that commitment equals limitation. So this can show up as falling for people who are unavailable, far away, or wildly inconsistent. Constantly seeking the one, but running when things feel too real. Overlooking red flags because you're in love with their potential. Playing teacher or guru in relationships while neglecting your own growth. Or even fantasizing about future possibilities instead of facing present realities. There may also be a pattern of over-idealizing love, then feeling deeply disillusioned when it doesn't match the movie in your head. You might confuse spiritual connection with emotional safety. And you may run from pain by chasing the next big feeling rather than doing the inner work of integration. You are attracted to people who are bold, independent, philosophical, or highly inspiring, but who may not be grounded. Relationships may start with a bang, full of potential, dreams, and high-level conversations, only to fade when reality kicks in. So this can cause a few recurring dynamics, such as partners who travel, wander, or refuse to commit. Relationships that make you question your values or belief systems. The spiritual teacher or muse partner who awakens your consciousness, but also your abandonment wounds. Feeling addicted to the idea of a relationship, even if it's not fulfilling. Or a pattern of being the one who knows more and attract partners who need guidance, only to grow resentful of their dependency. Each of these experiences is a mirror, pulling you deeper into self-trust. The more you try to find truth in someone else, the more disconnected you feel from your own compass. Until one day you realize you're the one you've been searching for. Healing begins when you stop chasing meaning through other people and start honoring the meaning that already lives inside you. The first step to achieving this is to get clear on what you actually believe, not just what sounds good. Journal your core truths about love, freedom, commitment, and growth. Are you living by your beliefs or someone else's? Are you creating standards or chasing ideals? Healing starts when your philosophy becomes embodied, not just spoken. Next is to anchor yourself before you try to merge. Sagittarius energy often rushes into connection before establishing inner rootedness. Build a life you love before inviting someone into it. Don't just make space for a partner. Fill that space with joy, purpose, and your own voice. Next is to choose presence over projection. Notice when you're falling in love with a dream, not a person. If your connection exists more in your mind than in reality, pause. Ask yourself, what truth am I avoiding? Healing means learning to love with eyes open and your heart intact. Next is to stop rescuing, fixing, or preaching. You're not here to be everyone's guru. Let go of the pattern of entering relationships as the teacher. You don't need to be needed to be worthy. Practice being loved as you are, not for what you offer. Next is to define freedom on your own terms. Does freedom mean being alone forever? Or does it mean choosing who you want to grow with without losing yourself? Redefine what expansion means to you, so you stop running from intimacy that actually aligns with your evolution. And finally, let love become a mirror, not a mission. When someone triggers you, don't chase them. Trace the reaction back to yourself. What are they reflecting? What's still unhealed? Let every interaction deepen your self-knowledge rather than distract you from it. A great affirmation for your Sagittarius-ruled 7th house is, I no longer search for truth in someone else's voice. I am the journey, the answer, and the path. Love expands when I do. This is your cosmic check-in, so drop your thoughts and takeaways in the comments. And of course, tap that like button, share the vibes, and subscribe so the stars always find you. And you don't have to keep guessing who you are. My As Above, So Within guided journal helps you get real about what you want and what you're here for. So be sure to grab it. The links are below. I appreciate you, and thanks so much for watching. When Capricorn sits on your 7th house, your soul didn't come here for superficial partnerships. You came to master the art of sacred devotion, not to someone else, but to your own standards, integrity, and emotional boundaries. Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, the planet of karma, maturity, and long-term growth. So in this lifetime, love is never just about romance. It's about what's real, what lasts, and what you're willing to build. At the spiritual level, Capricorn here represents a karmic assignment to understand how your relationships reflect your internal structure. Do you rely on external relationships to feel secure or validated? Do you overextend yourself in love because you were conditioned to prove your worth through loyalty, control, or self-sacrifice? Are you choosing connection from a place of wholeness or from fear of not being enough on your own? This placement often shows past life contracts where love was tied to duty, status, or power imbalance. You may have been the provider, the protector, the one who stayed long after the connection stopped nourishing you. In this life, you're being asked to rewrite that contract, to experience emotional security that doesn't cost you your soul. Love for you is a mirror that reflects your own structures, your boundaries, your values, your emotional discipline. It will keep showing you where you're rigid, where you're carrying too much, and where you're mistaking loyalty for love. At its highest expression, Capricorn in the 7th is here to teach that true commitment doesn't come from obligation. It comes from inner stability, from a place of self-respect that refuses to shrink, perform, or overfunction for anyone else. This placement calls you to build relationships that mirror the divine blueprint of your soul's strength, not the wounds you've been surviving from. It says, you are not here to carry love. You're here to build it, brick by brick, boundary by boundary, truth by truth. And that structure, it begins with how you show up for yourself. Capricorn energy doesn't just crave stability, it requires it. And when it rules your 7th house, you often enter relationships with invisible armor, scanning for safety, control, and long-term viability before vulnerability. This can make love feel more like a responsibility than a revelation. You may find yourself stuck in dynamics that are emotionally lopsided, energetically exhausting, or rooted in unspoken duty because you've mistaken structure for intimacy. One of the challenges of this placement is emotional overfunctioning. Capricorn in the 7th can make you the rock in every relationship, the one who holds everything together, manages the logistics, and sacrifices emotional needs for the sake of stability. But what starts as reliability can turn into resentment. So you might feel like the parent, boss, or manager in love and wonder why no one shows up for you in the same way. There's also the challenge of delayed vulnerability. So you tend to open up slowly, cautiously, and only after someone proves themselves. While discernment is healthy, this emotional delay can cause you to miss opportunities for real intimacy. You may attract partners who are emotionally unavailable or immature, mirroring your own fear of letting go of control. Attraction to responsibility, not resonance, is another challenge. You're often drawn to people you feel you can build with, but sometimes that turns into choosing based on potential, survival, or practicality instead of genuine heart resonance. So you may stay in relationships too long out of obligation, guilt, or fear of starting over. Another challenge is self-worth tied to performance. Capricorn is deeply linked to achievement and duty. When it's in the 7th, you equate being worthy of love with being needed, productive, or useful. This creates partnerships where you are constantly doing instead of being, and love starts to feel earned instead of received. Also, hyper independence as protection is another challenge. You don't like to rely on others, and that can show up as overcompensating, suppressing your emotions, or rejecting help even when it's available. This sends the energetic signal that you're not available for true mutual support. Deep down, this can stem from a fear that if you show your needs, you'll be abandoned or judged. When Capricorn governs your 7th house, your partnerships carry a heavy emotional tone, whether that weight is financial, practical, emotional, or karmic. You weren't designed for casual, carefree connections. Even when you crave lightness, you're magnetized to relationships that demand effort, maturity, and growth. One of the ways this shows up is you attracting partners with a story. So there's often a pattern of being drawn to people who are going through a transition, building something, or climbing out of a difficult chapter. These relationships can mirror your inner sense of responsibility. You feel like it's your job to help them get there. So you may unconsciously take on a mentor, manager, or stabilizer role. You may also gravitate toward high achievers or high needs. Depending on your level of self-worth, you'll either partner with people who are equally ambitious and structured, or you'll attract those who lack structure and expect you to provide it. Either way, the pattern reinforces your identity as the strong one, the one who knows, or the pillar, even when you're silently craving softness and support. You may also seek loyalty over emotional intimacy. You're far more likely to stay in a relationship that feels consistent and long-term, even if it's emotionally dry, than to leap into something passionate but unstable. This shows up as prioritizing commitment over compatibility. And you may also avoid fully opening up because you're trying to maintain the image of someone who has it all together. You may also be seen as the grown-up in love. So people come to you for grounding, clarity, and maturity. But this role can become a trap. You might feel like you're always the one giving advice, doing the emotional labor, or making the plans. You rarely feel like someone else is holding you, and yet you struggle to admit you want to be held. Also, love can feel like a test that you have to pass. Because of the karmic weight Capricorn brings, you might see relationships as a performance evaluation. Are you good enough? Are you meeting expectations? This creates pressure. You become hyper aware of what's working or failing in the relationship and struggle to relax into connection without feeling like you have to prove yourself worthy of long-term love. With Capricorn in the 7th house, your healing doesn't come from finding a partner who can hold it all together for you. It comes from learning to stop holding everything together alone. Your inner child learned that love had to be earned through performance, composure, or responsibility. But your soul came here to learn how to let love in without having to earn it at all. Healing this placement means rewriting the internal contract that says you're only lovable when you're perfect, productive, or in control. The first step to this is to validate your desire for support. You've been taught to suppress your emotional needs, but your longing to be supported, seen, and protected isn't a weakness, it's wisdom. Let yourself admit, I want to be cared for too. That truth alone can break generations of emotional suppression. Your power doesn't disappear when you're vulnerable. It deepens. Next is to dismantle the earned love story. You don't need to prove your worth through what you build, give, or endure. Notice when your relationships feel transactional, when you're giving love like a currency to buy closeness. Then remind yourself, I am lovable as I am. I don't have to hustle for it. Next is to let softness be a new form of strength. Capricorn in the 7th house often hardens you, armors you, and teaches you to handle love like a job. But your spiritual evolution begins when you reframe softness as a source of power. Practice letting yourself be, not just do. Let stillness be productive. Let gentleness be radical. Let rest be sacred. Next is to rebuild boundaries from self-honor, not self-denial. Your boundaries may be rigid or non-existent, either over-controlled or too collapsed from chronic overgiving. The healing path is to create boundaries from self-honor, not fear. Ask yourself, does this connection make me feel more supported or more responsible? Choose based on how you feel, not what you owe. Next is to reparent the inner authority figure. Often your inner voice is a harsh supervisor. It tells you to suck it up, do more, or be better. Begin speaking to yourself like a wise, compassionate elder, not a boss. Affirm, you've done enough. You are enough. You don't have to be the adult in every room. Next is to let relationships serve you too. You've likely spent a lifetime in relationships where you were the container, the one holding space, solving problems, and maintaining the structure. But you're meant to receive just as much as you give. Practice asking for what you need. Let someone be strong for you. Let reciprocity become your new love language. And finally, redefine what success means in love. This placement often defines love success through longevity, titles, or appearances. But healing means creating a new metric. How safe do I feel being myself here? Can I rest here? Does this relationship honor my evolution? These questions reveal whether a connection is rooted in love or performance. A great affirmation for your Capricorn-ruled 7th house is, I am not defined by duty alone. I attract partnerships that honor my boundaries, celebrate my worth, and support the life I am building. All right, it's chart confession time, so be sure to let me know what resonated most for you in the comments. And of course, tap that like button, share it with your soul tribe, and subscribe for more magic. And if you're ready to stop skimming the surface of astrology and actually apply it to your life, my As Above, So Within journal guides you through your chart with soul-stirring prompts designed to unlock clarity and direction. So be sure to check it out. The links are below. I appreciate you, and thanks so much for watching. When Aquarius sits on your 7th house, your soul isn't here to follow traditional rules of love. It's here to rewrite them. You incarnated with a sacred contract to experience relationships that challenge the status quo, push boundaries, and awaken deeper truths about your individuality and humanity. This is the placement of the relationship revolutionary. The soul who doesn't just want love, but wants freedom within love. You came here to experience partnerships as a path to awakening, not codependency, not obligation, and definitely not societal approval. Your partnerships are karmic catalysts. They disrupt, shake up, and sometimes even break you open. This is because these relationships are meant to liberate you from outdated definitions of love and force you to face the parts of yourself you've been afraid to express. This placement teaches you that love is not about fitting in. It's about being fully you, even when that makes others uncomfortable. At its highest vibration, Aquarius in the 7th teaches you how to be in a relationship without losing your individuality. It teaches you how to love without ownership, how to grow alongside someone without compromising your soul, and how to honor both unity and uniqueness. That's the evolutionary edge of this placement. Radical authenticity in intimacy. Aquarius energy often shows up in your 7th house as both your rebellion and your resistance to closeness. While you deeply crave meaningful connection, you also fear losing your autonomy or being emotionally controlled. One of the challenges with this placement is emotional detachment as protection. You may intellectualize your emotions or keep your heart at a distance to avoid feeling vulnerable. It's safer to analyze the dynamic than to truly feel it. Another is hyperindependence. You may reject intimacy as soon as it starts feeling too normal or emotionally heavy. If a partner gets too close, you might pull away, not because you don't care, but because you're afraid you'll lose yourself. Another challenge is attraction to unavailable or unconventional partners. You're drawn to rebels, outsiders, or partners who are emotionally unpredictable. While exciting, these dynamics often mirror your own internal fear of emotional stability. Another challenge is sabotaging what feels too comfortable. When a relationship starts to feel stable, you may unconsciously stir up chaos just to reclaim your sense of individuality. Love becomes a battleground between belonging and being free. Another challenge is avoiding commitment by intellectualizing love. You may rationalize away your emotional needs or stay in situationships under the guise of freedom, even when your soul craves deeper intimacy. Relationships for you don't follow the script. They might start suddenly, end unexpectedly, or defy all logic. That's because your soul learns through shock. through breaking the mold and asking new questions about what love is really meant to do. So this can show up as partners who feel like lightning bolts. You attract people who stir up something wild, electric, or liberating in you. They shake your foundation and awaken parts of you that were dormant. Some of these relationships are short-lived, but forever change your trajectory. Another is friendships that become love, or love that feels like friendship. There's often a blending of platonic and romantic lines. You want a best friend, co-visionary, or fellow rebel, not just a romantic partner. This can also show up as unpredictable or non-traditional dynamics. So you may experience long-distance love, polyamory, open relationships, or other non-conforming structures. Even if you eventually crave stability, the path there is rarely linear. This can also show up as emotional aloofness or coolness in love. Others may perceive you as detached or emotionally unavailable, even if you care deeply. You tend to express love through acts of service or intellectual connection rather than overt displays of emotion. There's also feeling like you don't fit into standard relationship models. So whether due to your identity, values, or desires, you've likely felt like an outsider when it comes to love. And that's part of your sacred curriculum. You're not here to fit in. You're here to awaken something new. Aquarius in the 7th teaches you that you are the revolution. Before anyone else can love you in your full eccentricity, you must learn to honor it. The deeper invitation is to hold space for your wildness and your heart, because true freedom and love comes when you stop abandoning either one. The first step to achieving this is to normalize being different in love. Stop trying to make yourself emotionally palatable for others. Your love doesn't have to look like anyone else's. The right partner will celebrate what makes you you. Your healing begins when you stop editing your truth to earn belonging. Next is to reparent the part of you that fears losing yourself. Many of your relationship patterns stem from early experiences of being unseen or misunderstood. So affirm to yourself, I can be fully myself and still be loved. I don't have to disappear to stay connected. Practice staying in connection without compromising your individuality. Next is to let emotional intimacy feel safe again. You're not emotionally cold. You're cautious. But your soul craves depth just as much as freedom. Start small. Open your heart in places where you feel safe, even if it's imperfect. Learn to name your needs without apology. Healing happens when emotional honesty becomes your new liberation. Next is to recognize when freedom is actually fear. There's a difference between authentic independence and avoidant attachment. Be honest about when you're choosing space from a place of empowerment versus when you're using it to protect yourself from potential pain. The goal is integration, not isolation. Next is to choose relationships that grow with you. You need partnerships that evolves, not one that locks you down, but one that challenges you to rise. Seek out kindred spirits, people who value truth, growth, and innovation as much as you do. The relationship becomes your lab for soul expansion, not a cage. And finally, let love be a co-creation, not a confinement. You're here to experience love as a collaboration between two whole beings. Define your relationship on your terms. Co-create a structure that fits your values and vision. And remember, the right partner won't clip your wings. They'll fly beside you. A great affirmation for your Aquarius-ruled 7th house is, I honor the sacred freedom within me and attract relationships that expand my truth, not limit it. I am safe to be fully seen, wildly authentic, and deeply loved without compromise. Be sure to let me know what part hit home for you in the comments below. And of course, show this video some love with a like, spread the magic to your friends, and subscribe so the universe keeps sending you these vibes. And if you're ready to stop outsourcing your worth and finally come home to yourself, my Venus Activation Journal guides you through your Venus sign and house so you can rewire how you see and love yourself. So be sure to check it out. The links are below. I appreciate you, and thanks so much for listening. With Pisces on your descendant, your soul came here to experience love as a transcendent force, something that dissolves ego, reveals the unseen, and cracks your heart open to higher levels of compassion. But to reach that sacred level of partnership, you must first walk through the fog of illusion, the pain of projection, and the temptation to lose yourself in someone else's emotional current. This placement means that relationships are never surface level for you. Even a brief romance might feel karmic, fated, or spiritually significant. There's often a feeling of, I've known you before, or we were brought together for a reason. And often, you were. Pisces here opens the door to past life entanglements, spiritual soulmates, and emotional echoes from timelines you don't consciously remember, but deeply feel. Your soul's work in this lifetime is to learn how to experience love without drowning in it, to awaken your own intuition without outsourcing your worth to someone else's presence, to stop mistaking deep emotion for deep commitment, and to remember that unconditional love doesn't mean unconditional tolerance. The deeper meaning of this placement is about purification, learning to discern what's true love versus what's an echo of your own longing. You're meant to evolve your idea of partnership from let me heal you into let us rise together. You're learning to trust your spiritual knowing without abandoning your emotional clarity. Love is meant to uplift your soul, not blur it. This placement comes with a few blocks and challenges, one of them being boundaries blurring easily. So you may merge emotionally, spiritually, and even energetically with your partners too quickly. It feels romantic, but it often leaves you lost in their needs, feelings, and identity. Another is love as a savior complex. So you might fall for people who are broken, addicted, or emotionally unavailable, believing you can heal or save them. This often reflects your own avoidance of confronting your own pain. Another challenge is escapism through fantasy. So you might live more in the potential of the relationship than its reality. Even red flags get spiritualized, such as, we're meant to go through this. The challenge is learning to see clearly without rose-colored glasses. Another challenge is avoiding confrontation. When things go wrong, you may ghost, numb, or spiritually rationalize your way out of honest conversations. Conflict feels too harsh, so avoidance becomes your coping mechanism. Another challenge is self-sacrifice as love. So you may equate love with being a martyr, giving too much, holding space for people who never return the favor. This deep pattern often traces back to childhood conditioning around love equating sacrifice. Pisces in the 7th house colors your relationship experiences with mysticism, intuition, and emotional depth, but also with confusion and spiritual bypassing if unhealed. So this can show up where you attract partners who feel like soulmates. Even if the relationship is brief, you tend to connect with people who feel emotionally familiar or spiritually charged. The connection feels fated, as if the universe brought you together. But this can lead to attachment to potential or past life ties, even when the relationship isn't healthy in the present. Another way this can show up is you losing yourself in relationships. So you may notice that you morph into your partner's world, absorbing their interests, needs, or pain. After breakups, it can feel like you don't know who you are anymore. Your emotional boundaries are porous, and unless consciously managed, you tend to merge completely. This can also show up where you're drawn to emotionally unavailable or wounded people. Your deep compassion makes you a natural healer, and you often attract partners who are lost, damaged, or in need of saving. This reinforces the savior-martyr complex and leaves you exhausted or resentful. Another way this shows up is you struggling to leave, even when it hurts. You might rationalize toxic behavior by spiritualizing it, telling yourself, this is a soul contract, or there's a lesson here. You may stay in cycles of emotional harm out of guilt, loyalty, or the fantasy that it will all transform. Another is avoiding conflict and reality checks. When issues arise, you may shut down or ghost, choosing to stay in the dream rather than confront the truth. Emotional clarity can feel harsh, so you avoid it to preserve the illusion of harmony. You may also romanticize the past and the unattainable. You might hold on to an ex for years, obsess over a fantasy connection, or pine for someone who never fully shows up. Pisces energy tends to idealize what's distant or lost, which keeps you chasing ghosts instead of building something real. You also have a deep, creative, and devotional love nature. Despite all the challenges, your capacity for love is oceanic. You long for a relationship that feels like spiritual poetry, like music for the soul. When you're in balance, you become a channel for divine partnership, one that heals, elevates, and inspires. The Pisces 7th house soul lesson is to come back to yourself, to become your own sanctuary. When you meet yourself with the same grace, compassion, and devotion you've been giving to others, you unlock your true partnership potential. To achieve this, the first step is to seal the leaks. Identify where your energy merges too quickly. Create sacred boundaries, not walls, but filters. It's okay to love deeply without giving yourself away. Next is to fall in love with reality. Practice seeing your relationships clearly. Journal the actual behaviors your partners show, not just how they make you feel. Name what's true and release the need to romanticize red flags. Next is to be your own safe space. Instead of longing to be held, begin by holding yourself. Start small. Affirmations, ritual baths, grounding meditations. Make devotion to yourself a daily practice. Next is to reclaim your spiritual standards. You're not here to spiritually rescue anyone. You're here to experience divine partnership, where growth is mutual and wounds are tended together. Refuse to lower your frequency to meet someone in their avoidance. Next is to create sacred closure. Karmic entanglements need energetic release. So try cord-cutting rituals, forgiveness letters, or water rituals to cleanse lingering energy. And finally, channel your romantic energy. Pour your love into your art, your healing, your dreams. Pisces in the 7th is a divine channel. When you redirect your need for connection into creation, you call in someone who matches your frequency. A great affirmation for your Pisces-ruled 7th house is, I honor love that uplifts, not love that erodes. I am worthy of being met, seen, and cherished, not just spiritually, but fully. I merge with my own soul first, and from that sacred union, true partnership flows. The floor is yours. What part of this video spoke straight to your soul? Tell me below in the comments. And of course, give this video a thumbs up, pass it to your friends, and subscribe for more cosmic truths. And if you're tired of repeating old patterns, my Venus Activation Journal walks you through reconnecting with your self-worth and rewriting your love story from the inside out. So be sure to check it out. The links are below. I appreciate you, and thanks so much for listening.